If the bounty is huge percentage of his stack, this is a license for us to gamble more. Yeah, let's open it here. There is some new sims. Okay, nice. We're gonna speak about PKOs and some basic adjustments and mechanics and some common mistakes that I see in PKOs, and make sure that we don't do those. So we're going to use this group coaching thing for any questions, and at any time, if you guys have any questions, please ask. So we're going to start by covering the first basic adjustments that we're going to do. As you guys already know, the first thing we're going to do is going to be to convert our bounties to chips and add them to the pot. So that's going to be a most important thing, and the main adjustments compared to when we play just for chips in normal tournaments. Then we're going to speak about how we play as a big stack and what are going to be main adjustments and what do we do as a short stack or when we are covered. So when we're a big stack, when we are covering, we're a hunter, right? We're trying to get those bounties. The idea is going to be to VPIP more, to play more hands, to find ways find more ways to play more hands, right? And that's going to be especially in early stages. Why is that? Because the early stages, the bounties are going to be big percentage of opponent stack. So on the next slide, we're going to see how exactly we're going to look into bounties. And when we are analyzing our hand histories or playing in a tournament, it's very important to look it in this kind of way, because it's easy to understand how much wider we should play because of the bounties in play. As short stack, when we're covered, there is nothing special we can do. It's just a simple adjustment, right? So just play tighter. So why we play tighter actually? So the value of our strong hands will drastically increase, because people are going to hunt us. So when we have aces or kings or ace king, we're going to get called much wider. So the EV of those hands goes way up, right? So we don't, but on the other side, the EV of weaker hands goes down, because we're going to play more multi-way posts. People are going to chase us. The weak hands are not going to really perform as well. So what we're going to do, it's simple strategy, just tighten up our opening ranges, and yeah, just don't worry about playing too tight, because there's no other thing to do. You just it's kind of boring. We just need to wait for a good stuff and try to, and we're going to value more high cards, especially when going all in. Which we're gonna see later. So for first thing, converting bounties to chips, I'm not gonna bother you guys with math. You can find if you want to know how to do bounties by pen and paper, you can find that online easily. So the numbers I have here for you guys is from basically HRC working backwards, and you can see here, based on field left, what percentage of starting stack is going to be added to the pot based on the field left. So first, it's usually going to be between, you can remember that, between 25 in the beginning of the tournament and up to 45 when you get very late in the tournament. And here you can see a quick example, 73% field left, 23, 50% field left, 25% over 25% of the starting stack. And then if you go down, 25%, 24% of the field, 35% of the stack out of KO. And then when you go down, it increases. So it's going to be more and more of the starting stat. But that's not going to be a big part when you go late in the game. 40% of the starting stat is not going to be very much chips. So this is why on this slide, we're going to see, this is why it is important to always know how much bounties have guys on the table, right? So we're going to use example of 25,000 starting stack, okay? As you can see here, 25% is going to be, so let's say if you're playing this kind of stage, 50% of the field left, it's going to worth 6-2-5-0, right? So that's going to be 25, one quarter of the starting stack. And then when we go deeper in the tournament, 24% of the field, it's going to be 35%, or 40%, 5% of the field left, which is going to be 10K out of 25. This is, I think, very important. Asking yourself questions either when analyzing PKO hand or when playing, right? What we want to know is actually how much his bounty worth in percentage of his stack, right? That's going to give us a really easy way to play, to have adjustments, quick adjustments in game, because this is what is important, right? We don't need all of these numbers, what to do with them when we're playing. This is what is important, right? So the way we can do it, we can just figure out how much his bounty worth in percentage of his stack. So let's say like we're going to see in later examples, but if it's 25%, like and he has exactly starting stack, it's going to be 25% of his stack. But there people are going to be like short stacks. They're going to have like 10k 10k chips left, and then the bounty is going to be a big part of his stack. So like this is what is important. If the bounty is huge percentage of his stack, this is a license for us to gamble more. And another thing like that you can easier visualize, like how many big blinds is his bounty worth, right? So like that way we can also see how much like we need to adjust our strategies based on how much additional money is going to be in the pot, especially like when calling all-ins, which we're going to see in examples later. We're going to get discounts on our calls because there is potential bounty or like real money to win. Any questions so far before we go to some pre-flop academy sims and some real hands? So any questions, anything that is not clear about this? Good. Okay, so no questions. And let's go first to the first example. Charts, tournaments. So the first example is going to be where we expand our VPIP ranges. And this is comparing like with chips on the left side. You can see PKO sim, or where we play 40 big blinds against the 35 so button versus RFI from hijack. And here on the right side you can see comparison with a chip PV strategies, and as you can see here we're playing much wider ranges in terms of calling. So yeah, let's open it here. There is some new sims. Okay, nice. So the example we're looking at is we're on the bottom with 40 against hijack with 35. That's gonna be this one. And what is important also is that the big blind is a shorter stack. So this is like important thing to take a look at, especially when there is going to be even shorter stacks. So we want to expand our calling range and play more VPIP. Because everyone is going to play higher VPIP because of the guy who is short on the big blind, right? So here, looking at this big blind bottom versus hijack, we're going to play like 23% calling range. So stuff like even stuff like 5-3 gets in there, king 4 suited gets in there, stuff like ace queen. We're not going to 3-bet anymore. We're going to play these hands as a call, and that will also allow us to like these hands also like we're playing at a call, and this allows us to expand our range. And also like what these do, like when we call such a wide range and the first guy open the wide range, it will allow big blind to shove pretty like wider, right? Because we have so many calls and we cannot really call range. This is what we want to achieve when there is shorter stacks around. We want to expand our VPIP when we're a big stack. So the next slide is going to be when we're playing against 25 big blind stack effective. So this is where like the bounty is really coming to play, where like there is a pretty decent chance of us like really getting that bounty. So on the left side here, you can see that we're playing big blind versus cutoff 25 effective, and that our strategy is quite different here than what we play in a normal normal spot versus cutoff. So here you can see that we expand both our calling range and our jamming range. So jamming goes to 15% compared to 9. So we get to jam more because there is a bounty in play, right? How much his bounty actually worth, right? So this is what we want to ask ourselves. So in this example, everyone has starting bounty. So what we said, how much starting bounty worth? This is like roughly beginning of the tournament. So we can simplify. We don't need to say like, yeah, oh, it worth exactly 23%. We can call it 25%, right? So in the beginning of the tournament, we're going to go with 25. So that's going to be like 25,000, which is starting stack, which you can see here. If you open here payouts and structure, you can see that the starting stack is 25,000. So the one bounty, which everyone has one bounty here. So one bounty worth 6250. Okay. So this is, for example, like this guy on that has 25 big blinds. So we are looking at example this one. So we're on the big blind with 40 blinds against the cutoff with 25 who open, right? So his stack is he has 25 blinds, 25 times the big blind is, as you can see here, 600. So he has 15,000. So how much, so can you guys tell me, so how much, if you know he has just one starting bounty, how much, what percentage of his stack is his bounty? We know that one bounty is, okay, 6250, right? So what we're gonna do, like, it's, yeah, this, like 6 divided by, so this is how we can see it. It's around 40% of his stack. So this is important when you're playing. You don't have to, you can just visually roughly have estimation of how much of his stack, so like around half of his stack you can say, like, when playing. This is important, right? So to have a quick understanding and quick way to find out how much his bounties worth, right? So I would say, if I see this in game, I would not try to like calculate his, I would say it is roughly half of his stack, right? And that will give you a really good starting point for adjusting your strategy. And you can see here, big blind against cutoff. This is how we want to play our strategy. So we're going to have against that 25 big blind guy, we're going to have jams. We're going to expand these, like these jams we're not going to use. Ace 10 off we're not going to use. So we're expanding a little bit because he has this additional money, like almost half of his stack, or like even 10 big blinds is additional in the pot that we can win by going all in. So we expand our range. So what if he has 2 starting bounties, right? So what do you guys think is going to happen? Okay, so do we go wider? What do we do? Like, what do you think is going to happen? So if instead of this much he has ×2, so it's going to be almost his entire stack. Like his bounty is going to be 12,500 and his stack is going to be 15,000. So it's going to be like almost, yeah, 83% of that. So what we're going to do? We're going to go wider. We're going to jam even more, right? So we're going to expand, we're going to jam even more. And so what do you think he's going to do? So he plays like here, strategy of VPAPing or RFI actually. So he RFI all hands, he plays 26.4. So what he's going to do? What is going to be his adjustment as a short stack with a big bounty? Much wider, we need less equity, tighter. He needs to open less, exactly, tighter open, nice. Okay, so let's see actually that. Okay, so here we have this first example where he has 2 starting bounties instead of 1, right? So it works almost his entire stack, or like 83% of his stack. So his range goes down to 21%. So he's opening tighter now. But what happens, like, we're not really jamming tighter. We're expanding our jamming range and expanding it quite a lot, right? So why is that happening? So that happens, you can see here by this risk premiums. So we have actually negative risk premiums, which means that we get basically a discount. We get better pot odds because we add all of these chips into the pot, which means that on our normal pot odds, we get discount of 11.8%, it seems here, right? So that's a quite big discount. So we get to gamble way more, whereas he still has positive risk premium, so he needs to play pretty tight. So this is the change that happens in PKOs, right? And another thing that I did is like what's going to happen is what I see people don't do well. I think they don't really adjust. Do you guys agree with me? Do you agree that people don't adjust? They play pretty much same cutoff as usual. What do you think about that? Like, what happens on your games, guys? Do you think they tighten up, or they play similar ranges that they usually play on the cut? Same ranges, mostly play similar ranges. Yeah, I agree with that. Population plays similar ranges, better player adjust. That's a good guess. Yeah, I think so too. Like, I think they're gonna play more closer to 25% instead of 21. So what I did, I node locked this one for them to play this range, like, which is basically the same as the one here. So basically they don't adjust too much. They play pretty much the same range as they have a 1 starting, but this is basically just adjustment, like when having 1 starting bounty and 2 starting bounties, that this is how much it changes actually. So your VPAP goes down by 4% because like people are going to chase you, right? Like button is going to call 25%. you're gonna go multi-way a lot. Like button is gonna call, big blind is not gonna fold shit, right? I mean, it's gonna be hard to make stuff like ace-5 off profitable. It's gonna be hard to make this kind of stuff profitable, like when you're gonna play three-way most of the time, right? So what happens if there are one or two bigger stack after cutoff? So if there is one or two, yeah, I mean, if there is like one, you think if there is one bigger stack and one shorter or something like that, I mean, it's gonna change if we cover someone. It only comes to that. Like, I would just look if we cover someone. So if there is someone with 10 big blinds, then like, yes, it kind of sucks to go between against these two guys, but we also have prize to go for, right? Like there is also something for us, right? Here, there's nothing for us. Everyone is chasing us. We're the prey, right? But like when there is another guy who we can get something from, right? Then when we are covering at least one, I think our ranges are gonna shift a little bit. It's gonna go back to probably something like this. But yeah, when there is three guys behind that are gonna chase us with where we have big bounty, basically, and also like I didn't allow all in here. If I allow all in, there is going to be even some open shots, right? Because like some hands like 9s or 10s, like we're just going to get called by these guys because they get huge discount on a call. So some hands like ace queen off, I think we're going to play as a jam, you know, so that might happen as well, even for 25. Yeah, but basically when we change this to go back to like what big blind do. Wait, so big blind against, yeah, okay, this is it. So what happens, obviously it expands even more. So we get to jam super wide, right? We get to jam ace-8 off, ace-7 off, even ace-5 off, all suited aces, all suited 9x along with all suited broadways, jack-10 off, king-jack off. Yeah, all pairs will always shove, and we don't fold a single hand. 7 deuce off is gonna win like what? I mean, not much, but $1 calling, right? Still better than folding. And yeah, this is the adjustments we're gonna do when someone. So this is how you can look at when his bounty where it's close to his entire stack, we get to play really wider. And when it's like half of the stack, yeah, we get to play wider, but not as wide. But when it like 25% or 1/3 of the stack, we don't really change our strategies too much. We can adjust, but we don't adjust that much. Like it all comes to what percentage of his stack is his bounty. That's the question you should ask yourself. Okay, is that all clear? Waiting for a question if there is one. And if not, we're gonna go to the when we're playing a deeper stack, when we're playing 50 big blind. How much time does it take to make one such? Not much really. Like it goes pretty quick in HRC, like 5 minutes. It's very quick. I think you guys should all use HRC. It's very easy to calculate PQ hands here. Yeah. So how this how did his calling range changed? You mean his calling range after we jam? It don't really change that much. Like he still get to call like good hands. Like again, he still has this like, I mean, he doesn't have really big but 0.5% risk premium. He just have to call the normal hands. But yeah, it's wider, obviously wider. He's folding like less than, he's folding here what, like a little bit less than half of his range. He's continuing more than half of his range here. But yeah, he still don't get to call super wide. But yeah, ace-10 off, 5s, ace-9 suited. But yeah, pretty reasonable calling range. Yeah. And a lot depends how accurate you need it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so move on to 50 blinds. Okay, the example I have here is on the left side we have a PKO sim. On the right side we have our normal big blind versus button 3-betting range. Which is like includes hands like this part, this suited part. On the right here have some jams and have some similar bluffs that we have here on the left side. But what is the main difference here? What is the where we can see the main difference in which type of hands? It's going to be these suited broadways, right? More linear. Why is that? Don't answer, Arunas. I know you know. Don't answer. Like, I want other guys to get engaged. So come on, guys. Other than Arunas, please. Like, why we include hands like Queen Jack, Jack 10 suited, King Jack suited in the range with PKOs for 50 big blinds? Like, we 3-bet that with 50, and we don't 3-bet on the right side. One simple reason, right? Like, what we're gonna do when we 3-bet and they jam, what we're gonna do with Jack 10 suited? What we're gonna do with Queen Jack suited? Remember, we have these bounties, like we have these added chips to the pot, right? Exactly, we call, because we're gonna have discount of the potential chance to win bounties, right? So this is why we start including these hands, right? And you can see this example here. So button open, and yeah, here this is again with double bounty, but let's first look at it with one bounty, okay? And then we're gonna look if he has more. So here, big blind versus button at 50. So that's, I think, this one, the first one, yeah. So we have one starting bounty. So how much of his stack is the bounties? He has 50 blinds, which is like 30K chips. And yeah, it's not that much, right? But still, like when we are thinking about our strategy, so yeah, it's 20% of his stack only. But like when we are thinking about our strategy, even that discount is going to change our strategy towards like playing more aggressive with suited brothers, because we can call their all-ins, right? And also, like what is kind of cool with these hands like Jack 10, Queen 10, Queen Jack suited is that imagine like what people jam. They're not really going to jam aces and kings, most of them. So most jamming ranges will include hands like ace king off, tens, jacks, queens, right? So what happens when we have Jack 10 suited and Queen Jack suited, Queen 10 suited? We have hands that blocks jacks and tens, right? And we're most likely going to be against ace king off, right? So that's a quite good gamble for us when we get to get his bounty. Also, like what is important is in these early stages. So we're not going to do this. This is all early stages, right? We want to gamble wider and set up for like a good tournament later with potential to pick another bounties, right? And what I see people do is like they see huge bounties in dollar value later, and they're like, oh, I have to have this 2K bounty or whatever, you know, and that bounty might worth like 5% of the villain stack, and they go super wide there, which is not what we want to do, right? Well, what we want is to go for bounties when they represent decent part of their stack. And yeah, like here we can see that we want to start including this type of hands when we are up against button. Yeah, so big blind against button, Jack 10 suited, Queen Jack suited, King Jack suited. So all of these hands are going to be good enough to attack his range. And here I have example when if in case he has two starting bounties, which are going to be 6250 times 2, and that's going to represent what? Like it's going to represent like 40% more of his, almost half of his stack. And what's going to happen there is we're going to expand even more. So we're going to expand to all of these suited broadways. We're going to expand to hands like nines, to expand like hands like ace nine off. And what's going to happen is when he jams, and look at his jamming range, right? He has tens, jacks, ace king, ace queen. So with hands like Jack 10 suited, Jack 10 is like pretty good, right? We block jacks and tens, and we're gonna be flipping against these type of hands when they call. But yeah, most of the time they're gonna continue with flatting. So yeah, like this is our 3-bet call range basically, which seems like somewhat crazy, right? To 3-bet call for 50 blinds, but it's just like when we take a look here at the bubble factors, right? So big blind versus button, we get a discount of 6%, right? So yeah, if you want to do it by hand, like Jack 10 suited against what he jams and minus 6% pot odds, you're just gonna have you're gonna be good enough to call. Not much domination there with Jack 10 suited, only ace jack, yeah. But I'm not sure if he jams ace jack, right? Yeah, I mean he jams ace jack off, yeah. But yeah, maybe population is not going to really do that too often. But still, I think playing aggressive strategies and 3-betting wide and willing to 3-bet call wider when someone's bounty worth a lot of his stack is the way to go, right? So that's what we want to remember. So move on. Yeah, so this is what we talk about early versus late game. Remember, like early stages, we want to bounties are going to be a huge part or like big part of opponent's stack. And later on, like it's just going to be people are going to have stacks of like 300k, 400k, and they're going to have two starting bounties, so it's going to be 12k to 300k, not much, right? So, but early stage, it's going to be a big part of their stack, and this is what we want to know. And whenever the bounty is a big part of their stack, we want to gamble more. And yeah, build a stack for future bounty hunting, right? So like start playing a strategy that allows us to make a big stacks early is what we should aim for in bounties. And later, like, yeah, we should be careful about just numbers, just like how much in dollar is the bounty. We should more think about how much it worth in chips. And this is where I see most mistakes. So later stages, bounties are a small percentage of opponent stacks, and as big stack late game, we can play close to chips, and as short and mixed stacks, still there is a very decent risk premium. But yeah, we can basically cut it in half. So you can cut in half from like a normal tournaments. The risk premiums that we have there, we can as a rough estimate, we can just cut them in half. This is for most common mistakes that I see is that I already covered. So it's like mostly like playing too tight when covering in early stages and playing too loose covering late stages. And the third one is like not adjusting. You guys agree with me, so people don't really adjust when they have short stacks. So there is not much we can do. There is a lot of other stuff. So when we want to expand our ranges, we want to include limping strategy, so it's gonna allow us to get more bounties. So we're going to talk about that in one of the next sessions. And just for the end, I'm gonna show you guys one hand, and then we can go to any questions that you guys have. This is a hand from a bounty tournament, and this is how I mark the hands. So basically, you screenshot hands. It's important to know, like, to have a screenshot of the lobby as well, so you can input bounties in HRC. And here we can see that guy goes all in. So can you guys tell me, like, how much? So starting stack is 25k here. So what percentage? How we analyze this hand, right? So what percentage of his stack is his bounty? He has two starting bounties. Can someone tell me what percentage of his stack is his bounty? Come on, guys, let's see. 25k starting, right? And this is like, we need to be able to come up with this quickly in game. 15k. So we say, yeah, like we say that roughly, like, because this is I would say again like 25%. So this is one bounty times two, so it's this much is roughly how much his bounty worth, and 1250 divided by 1884, which is like 66% of his stack. So like, yeah, 65, what we have, like 75, close to 75, yeah, 2/3. Yeah, this is exactly like what we want, like 2/3 of his stack, 12k. So like when you see it, you just see, okay, so starting stack 25k, roughly like 2/3 of his stack. So how wide we gamble here? So what do you guys think about this hand? Do we call? What else we call? So let's say that we have, okay, let's say we have queen 6 off. Do we call that? What about 9-6 off? Yes. We're probably close to range. Pretty much everything. Yeah, we get to call pretty wide here. And yeah, another question before we move. So what do you jam as him? So I would ask you a few hands. Do you jam like 9-8 suited? Pretty wide, yeah. Like he's also like, when you're short stack, like you need to kind of you need to gamble. I mean, yes, you play tight, but like you still need to find a way to gamble, right? 9-8 suited, no. What about like king 7 off? Probably slightly more king X, yeah, exactly. So moving towards higher cards, yeah, high card equity, exactly. When we get called really wide, then we also get wider. Yes, exactly. Like we need higher cards. Nice. Go for his range. So this is his range, right? So it doesn't jam 9-8 suited, doesn't jam even Jack-8 suited is folding, which is like crazy with like what he has, like not even 10 big blinds. But he jams like stuff. King 7 off is the bottom, King 8 off, Queen 9 off, also all offsuit aces. Deuces are actually like don't jam. So the reason is that big blind gets call like pretty much range, like as you guys correctly mentioned. So 9-6 off, bottom of the range, Queen Deuce off, all suited hands pretty much. So pretty wide gambling here in this situation. So what I want you guys to remember about this is like always thinking about percentage of his stack, like how much his bounty worth, and have like quick adjustments in game based on that. Okay, like I just want to make a quick introduction into PKOs. We're gonna have way more sims moving forward, and there's gonna be a lot more talk about PKOs. So like, is there any questions, guys, that you want to ask today? More sims with big blind sub 10 BB. Is there a table that relates ratio? Is there a table that relates ratio of bounty to stack equity? There is this percentage of the starting stack added to the pot based on the field left. Maybe if you're thinking about that. Vlada, is this formula correct for calculating 16k divided by 182? So I don't know for which, but basically you calculate pot odds is bet divided by bet plus pot. Is there a time where you translate the bounty to payouts? Bounty to payouts? Not really. You always translate bounty to chips and then like look what percentage of his stack or how many big blinds. Would you call same range if he has 24k and 3 bounties? So with the same. So if he has 24, this hand. So if he has 24k and 3 bounties, yeah, like yeah, I would call. Oh, thanks, Aronas. Yeah, this is bounty power, starting bounty, starting stack. Nice. Thanks for that. Thus with 0 extra ICM. Would you rather call? Yeah, would you call same? I would call same range. Basically, you're gonna get same pot odds. Yeah, I mean, I understand what your question is. Basically, there is things that like you should think about how much it impacts your stack. The one thing that you should ask yourself is like, what happens if you call and lose? So in this instance, I'm covering only him, right? So this is my only chance to gamble, right? So if I call and lose, whatever, I'm not losing chance to get any more bounties. But if it's different, like if I'm covering 5 people and if I call and lose and I'm not gonna cover that many people anymore, that will have impact in my decision for sure. Okay, did I miss any questions? More sims. Yeah, there is some sims. There is some sims with 10. Yeah, there's this with 6 big blinds, 12 big blinds. But yeah, it would be nice to get more sims with a lot of shorter stacks and different stages of the tournament. But yeah, I guess guys are working hard on that, and we're gonna be able to have them soon. Okay. Anything else? Any more questions, guys? We have separate server dedicated on PKO. Nice. So way more coming soon. Nice. General question: do you think 3-bet calling Jack 10 Queen 10 suited like in that example before will work well in low mid stakes? Yes, for sure. I mean, like it only depends on ranges that the people are gonna use, right? So we can go here. If they're gonna, so what do you think in lower mid stakes? Do people still open same range on the button? What do you think? Like around 50%? I would say yes. No, they open less. But you're gamble. Okay, I understand your point. So a few things about pre-flop edge, right? When you're out of position, no matter how bad your opponent is, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be hard to outperform, like especially jams. Like if you have some hands that prefers jamming. So for example, here you're going to have hands like pocket threes. So do you think you can outperform jamming by playing post-flop and doing something with pocket threes to your opponents out of position? It's not really going to be possible, no matter how bad they are, right? So if the jamming is going to be highest EV against their range with their bounties, I would go for that. In low mistakes, it's even better. People play, exactly. So one thing to remember, right? When we 3-bet, it doesn't mean that we're gonna 3-bet call, that we're gonna gamble most of the time. What happens is when we 3-bet, most of the time they call. There is like a lot of time they fold, like 38% they fold, and then they call 25% of the time, and they jam only 5% of the time. So that's not that often, guys. It's just like, and what's gonna happen is, when we have like Jack 10 suited, we are usually going to run it against his king and ace. And yeah, sometimes they're going to have Jack. Sometimes they're going to jam kings or aces, whatever. But it's not going to happen that often. Most of the time, they're either going to call or fold. So don't think about worst case scenario, really. For me, it's not that bad. I like 3-bet calling Jack 10 when people have bounties. It's fun, right? Like they have ace king and they don't have chance to win, right? Could you repeat how you estimate how much percent of his stack worth bounty in that? Yeah, I will repeat that. No problem. So basically, we know that in the beginning of the tournament, one starting bounty worth around 25% of the starting stack. Starting stack is 25k, and we say like 25k. So 25% of 25k is 625. This is one bounty. This guy, we can see here, has 2 starting bounties, and we do times 2. So one bounty, so 2 bounties worth this much. So this is how much money we should add to the pot and add to our pot odds, basically. So we can calculate pot odds this way, right? So we do like, we need to call like 16,884 divided by, so we do again 16,884, we do plus entire pot to 3,984, and we do plus 12, which is the bounty, right? And so we now get improved pot odds, we get new pot odds. So now we need only 31% compared to what would be before. Before we would calculate like this, divided by, we have our bet again, like 16,884 plus what is the pot. So instead of getting these odds above, we get these odds here. We can basically check this here. Yeah, we have discount of 6% here. It's not really the same. This, maybe I did something wrong, but the idea is this: you basically get to gamble wider when his bounty is most of his stack. Yeah, starting stack divided by 4 equals starting bounty in chips. Yes, that's for the early stage of the tournament. When we go for later stages of the tournament, the bounty worth more of the starting stack. So I use like roughly like 25, then like use like 30 or 35 later, and then like when you play final tables or something, you can use 40%. So you don't need to be like super precise with this. Like we want to make a way to calculate that in game and to make good adjustments in game. Do you think it's a mistake if I think he basically shoving like 6k, so 3 big blinds? Yeah, you can simplify it like that. It's going to be okay, but it's not going to be perfect. But you can take like how many big blinds it is and remove few big blinds. You can do it like that if you want. You're going to have good guesses basically like that. We'll have to watch the session from the beginning for that explanation for latest. Yeah, like you can just, I think there's going to be a video, so you can watch it later. Okay. Any more questions? Any adjustments in mystery bounties? Mystery bounties are a new format. They just come up. So basically you can calculate it. They always, at least on Winamax, they say basically what is the average bounty at the time. So you can calculate it that way. So you always look at what is the average bounty and then calculating it by that. Would you say there is more edge to be gained in PKOs than normal tournaments? Yeah, for sure. Like as long as people are not willing to study, there is. You can calculate average bounty. I think you can. They show you the average bounty actually all the time. Yeah, average bounty remain in the pool. You have ceiling for PKOs. On average, you can make more because players are weaker or understudy. Yeah, that's true. It's hard to know. Like the problem, like with bounties, like ROIs should be lower because there is less money up top, right? in normal tournaments, there is more money on top, up top, and your ROI should be higher. But like if people are not studying enough and you have an edge, then you can outperform. It just calculates all bounties and divided by number of players. Less with all bounty chasing, yeah. Just create special bounties and update before every single decision to see what is the EV of the bounty. Yeah, so if top bounties remain, like average bounty is going to be very high. Yeah, on a regular versus PKO, I think ROI can be double, but in high PKOs, for example, 100 plus. If you bust someone, you have only 1% to get the biggest. Yeah, not sure about mystery bounties. They just started. Like we have a guy that calculates this for us, but I don't even know like how he do it. So he basically, I asked him like, what is the starting? But yeah, I will definitely have to learn that because there is more mystery bounties now. On GG, you need to make 25 bullets. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. It was really fun for me today. Thanks a lot for inputs. Any further questions, ask here and I will type. Yeah, thanks guys for hosting, and see you next time. Bye-bye.